Welcome to a Narcotics Anonymous sponsorship video that talks about the second step of the recovery process. If you've answered the 114 questions that are asked of us in the first step inside this step working guide, then we're hopeful you've gained the beginning of an understanding of the spiritual principles of honesty, acceptance, surrender, and humility. No matter how difficult it seems to let go of control, it's crucial for anyone who wants to find recovery from addiction. And then the second step begins a process of hope for those of us who have given up trying to do life all by ourselves. As I said before, to understand how each step may apply to our lives, I hope you're using a dictionary, that you have decided to learn what every recovery word means for you. At 56 years old, I'm still trying to learn more about the words that can help me figure out what I need to do to make my life better every day. Basically, even though I've not used drugs in over 12 years, I continue to learn about recovery because I know it's one of the secrets to having a better life, because life is not easy, but it's easier if we keep learning how to live it. Okay, to get started, it's been said that one of the main spiritual principles in the second step is open-mindedness. In its definitions, besides keeping one's mind open, it also means to be willing to consider some ideas or opinions that are new or some that are different than the ones we have always relied on. To be honest, this really seemed like something I needed very badly. I have continuously gone through painful lessons in my life because I always thought I was right, or that I always knew what's best for me. But after losing everything in my life and sitting in a prison cell for all those years, it stripped away the illusion that I had very many good answers for myself at all. So I was ready to be open-minded. I decided I needed to learn some new ideas and opinions, and I tried really hard to open my mind. Do any of you listening think you have an open mind? Do you ever consider new ideas or new answers or different opinions? Or do you always trust the answers you already have? The principle of humility is practiced when we realize our need for help. It's been famously quoted before as this: humility is the wisdom of accepting the truth that we just might be wrong. There are several other spiritual principles in the second step, such as hope, willingness, and trust. I completely understand when someone has doubts about how the 12 steps could turn around traumatic life events or how they could make anyone's life better. I can relate to having doubts or about feeling any hope or trust in this process or any other solution for real, because I went in and out of churches, treatment centers, 12-step meetings, hospitals, jails, and prison for over 20 years looking for help and wanting to be happy. I think I almost decided that having a happy life was going to be impossible for me. But as I said before, I finally realized that I had never attempted to do these steps. I had never asked myself these 600 or 700 questions. I'd never considered the meanings of the words that might help me learn how to make my life better, nor had I honestly considered any new answers for my life at all. I really do hope you can trust me just a little bit when I say this program does work. What do you have to lose in trying for just a little while? Do you have other solutions that are making your life better right now? The second step says, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. If you'll notice, just like in every one of the 12 steps, this statement begins with the word we. This simply means that all the steps were created for group recovery, making it clear that no one is alone anymore on their path to healing, but instead, we are now among others who have similar struggles. We are not alone anymore. So let's consider the wording of the second step together and try to learn the definitions of some words. Came to believe. Here's another example of a statement where I simply did not know the meaning of some words that I use all the time. Came to believe. If I could ask each of you right now, what does this mean to you? What would you say about coming to believe something? Because from the start, even the word came confused me before I even began thinking about believing. This phrase, came to believe, has been said by many to mean to change one's beliefs, but it can often be a process that takes some time to happen. So I had to make this simpler for my old brain to understand. I started with the word believe. What does believe mean to you? Well, I still remember how it felt to realize I didn't even know. I thought, okay, it means, believe means that I, um, that I think, that, that I believe that, wait a minute. Oh man. No wonder I was a mess. I honestly had the definition in my brain for believe to be that I believe something, and that's ridiculous. So then, what does believe mean? Well, I learned with a dictionary. The definition of believe that I found was to trust as real. So, to believe something is to trust it to be real. I was like, well, I sure did need something to feel real to me. So, believe now means that I trust something to be real. After many years of pain and loss, this kind of broke me down. I couldn't think of hardly anything that I believed in anymore. I wasn't sure I trusted anything as real. And what is real to me anyway? What does real even mean? I then learned that real means to actually exist or happen, or something that is certain to be fact, or to be undeniably true. What do any of you listening trust as real, or trust as the truth? If you think you're unsure, like so many others are, and like I used to be, then it's time to figure that out. Although came has many meanings, like arrived or occurred or happened, I learned that for me, in the context of recovery, the definition of came means to begin or to start. So the phrase came to believe means that I start to trust something is real. Well, I desperately wanted to start to trust something to be undeniably true or in something that actually existed. I needed so badly to believe in something. Not sure what exactly I believed in just yet, but for sure, I was absolutely ready to start trusting something as real and undeniably true in my life. What do any of you believe in? These questions can bring those answers. So, next, we have the statement that a power greater than ourselves. Here's where many will definitely have a problem, and I have been one of those people. To be completely honest, I've been such a hard headed, strong willed man all my life that I've always made myself think that my own power was greater than anything else, period. My own strength, my own ideas, my own decisions. I didn't need anybody else's input about what to do in my life. I can figure it all out by myself. Thanks anyway. It's my life, so I'll take care of it. Even when I was wrong, I still tried to fix it all by myself. Can anyone else relate to this? Here's where the open mindedness I mentioned earlier became so important to me because I realized just how exhausted I was from trying to do everything in my life all by myself. I finally opened my mind to the simple idea that just maybe there was some kind of power or strength or answers or guidance besides my own that I could consider. So I decided to think about it for a minute. Now let's think about power. There are multiple definitions to the word power, such as these: the ability or energy to do or to act, or a person's capacity to control or to have influence over behaviors or a course of events, such as life. What kind of power, besides mine, could possibly help me? How in the world does someone trust some other power? Well, it was obvious to me that just my own power wasn't doing it. So I surrendered on a whole new level here. Maybe some other power really could help me, which means I was going to have to trust some other power, something, or someone besides me. I then began to understand the beginning of the second step by these new definitions I just learned. Instead of the actual words, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves, I understood the words, started to trust as real, that someone or something or another power besides mine. So, okay, I was going to have to trust something besides me, period. The principle of trust is crucial here. Once I surrendered to the fact I need help, I had to realize that the help I needed was going to have to come from somewhere besides me. The only thing I knew to do was trust these new ideas. It makes me wonder, do you think you could possibly trust some new ideas in your life right now? Now, the second half of the step says, could restore us to sanity. What does the words could restore mean? One dictionary definition for the word could is to show something is possible. So it is possible to be restored. But what does restored mean? The word restore means to return or bring back to a former or better condition. Well, I knew one thing. I definitely wanted the possibility of being restored or returned to a former or better condition, especially if that condition was less painful than what my life was already. Can any of you relate to this? If it were possible for you to be returned to a former or better condition, does that sound like something that would be worth this effort? What would that condition be, though? Just think for a second about what better condition might be possible for you. The ending of the statement says, us to sanity, which is another uncomfortable spot for many of us. To acknowledge that we need to be returned back to sanity basically implies that we might have been insane. Has anyone else out there besides me ever acted like they were insane? One of the most popular recovery explanations for insanity is this: doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. You ever heard of this? I can relate to it because I've done all sorts of crazy things in my years of addiction that definitely made me seem insane. I'd do things again and again and again: drugs, drinking, sex, gambling. Even if they had caused me serious problems before, I would somehow make myself believe that it would be different this time. And many times I have wondered if I was crazy. But I had to have a better understanding for sanity right here because I wanted so badly to be returned to it. What does sanity mean to you today? One of the meanings I discovered for sanity says this: the state of having a healthy, rational, and sound mind. That's good, but that's not all. It can also involve having good judgment, having emotional balance, and having a peace of mind that helps someone live life without being overwhelmed. Doesn't all this sound amazing? Basically, sanity is what most people will say they may want, but sadly, it isn't always as simple as just wanting it. It unfortunately takes some work to achieve these definitions, and that's what can be found in working the 12 steps. I know what it means now to be restored to sanity, and it wasn't an easy task. It's simple. I just use these numbered steps as a guide to help me find a better life. But for real, it's a very difficult thing to do, especially for those affected by drug abuse or other addictions. I seriously had to want it more than anything else in the world. So that's why I dedicated 4 years of my life to understanding how to be restored or come back from being the insane man that everyone said would never change and would die as a drug addict, to being restored to a better condition, into the sane man that I am today, having a healthy, sound mind, pretty good judgment, some emotional balance, and a mental well being that keeps me from feeling overwhelmed by helping me be at peace in my life. And I will try to explain what I mean by all that as we go along on this journey. So, with the definitions, the wording of the second step became clearer for me, and that's what's helped me learn how to use it in a realistic way to change my life for the better. When I apply all the definitions we just discussed, instead of we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. The second step said to me, I started to trust is real, that something else or some power greater than mine can bring me back to a healthy, sound state of mind. I began to have some real hope here. Maybe, just maybe, there was something to this 12-step thing after all. I started to wonder, is it really possible that if I surrender control of my life in the first step and I start to trust as real in the second step that there is some power that just might help me become a sane man, that this process could actually work for me? I hope so. And who is a sane person again? It's someone who has a healthy and sound mind, who has good judgment, has some emotional balance, and a kind of mental well-being, along with a state of peace of mind that might let them live life without feeling overwhelmed. Okay, I remember thinking, I'm in. Not sure just yet if it's for real, but it sounds good. And it's something I tell myself I definitely wanted, like every day of my life. So then, now what? Let's talk about having some real hope, like I mentioned just a few seconds ago. What does it even mean to have hope? What does the word hope mean to each of you? Do you have a definition for hope in your mind? Hope is a word everyone likes to use, but often it's really just another word that we may not know enough about to understand how to get there in our life. I kind of learned about hope myself for the first time when I got to this step. One definition I liked is desiring something good with a belief or expectation that it can happen. So I already like this word more, but that's not all. It's also a wish with a sense of the possibility of something happening. And there's even more, because it's also said to be a confident, optimistic expectation of future good. You see how complex this word actually is? And there are also similar words that are listed here because hope is also a longing for a goal, or to anticipate or expect or realize a dream, or to trust or have faith. All of these are about something in our life that can be good. It's sometimes off in the future in our minds, but often it can be as current as right now at this very moment. So let's take that a little farther. What do each of you hope for in your life right now? What do you currently have hope in? Are there things that you think about that you hope for in your future? Could you just for a second consider how hope is associated with these 12 steps? I hope you do, because we are just getting started with this. There's so much more coming ahead as we continue to learn. You see, I have hope today for me and for my life, and I have hope for you that you can find recovery too, because I know that it's possible for anyone, no matter how far down they've gone into the disease of addiction. I want to tell you that one of the saddest things about recovery to me is this. There are millions and millions of people right now that don't even know or think they need recovery from anything. As I've said numerous times before, drugs and alcohol are just a couple of the bad habits destroying lives today. They are some of the addictions that will kill us the fastest, and they can cause people to end up in prison too, but sadly, there are dozens of other bad habits that are ruining way more lives today than just drugs and alcohol, like gluttony with food, obesity, and other poor health choices, tobacco, gambling, technology, bad relationships, stealing, pornography, video games, cannabis, streaming TV services, being a workaholic, chasing pleasure, terrible financial unmanageability, vaping, on and on and on. You see, there are many other addictions that are legal, and these are the habits that are destroying lives in slow motion today all around us, and they are much more difficult to seek recovery for. Would you believe me if I told you that the 12 steps will work on anything someone wants to recover from? I hope so, because as addicts, we often find ourselves struggling with other addictions that we'll substitute and use just like a drug, mostly because we don't want to feel something. And understanding the principles contained in these steps are our solution for that too. Understanding the second step starts with the definitions. We start to trust is real, that something or some kind of power greater than our own can bring us back to a sound state of mind every time we need it. Recovery is real, and we're just getting started. Coming up in the next NA sponsorship video, we'll go deeper by taking a look at the questions contained in this second step. Thank you all for watching.